Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you 5 things I think you should know about this super powerful full moon we have here, September 20th, 2021. Real quick, my friends, before I get into the 5 things, there's an announcement I have for you, a very exciting announcement. On October 4th, I'm going to be personally guiding a group of people through what I call a 7-day intuition masterclass. We're going to be doing group ceremonies and workshops, experience-based, to help you go much deeper into your intuition, unlocking and expanding upon your existing psychic senses so that you can trust more fully and allow that innate genius within yourself to create an amazing life. We will be doing somatic breathwork, automatic writing, kundalini yoga, QHHT inspired meditations. It's going to be extremely powerful. It's a 7-day program, and if you want to sign up, there's a link down below right at the top of the description box. I cannot wait. Check it out if that resonates. And with that said, I'll see you in the video. Number 1, your life playing catch up. The first thing to really change on this spiritual awakening journey is, of course, us, ourselves, our nervous system, our psyche, our patterns, our vibration. And there's been so much of that happening over the past several months, so quickly, so rapidly, at a deep core soul level, that now this full moon is, in a sense, causing your life to play catch up, to start to rearrange and reorganize itself around this new version of yourself. And this is a good thing because all the changes, even though they don't always seem this way in the moment, they're always positive. You're always gonna really like and be pleased with and impressed with and surprised with sometimes the upgraded versions of things that are coming into your life right now, pushing old things out of the way. Now, with that said, it's not easy when you're in the midst of it, even though it's so positive. In fact, this happens a lot to people who have come to my retreats. They have an amazing time. They go through a lot of shifts, and they leave feeling like they're on cloud 9. Like clockwork, some of them, a week or 2, maybe 3 later, they message me or they get in touch and they say, Victor, what the heck is going on? Everything's up in the air. Everything's changing. Everything's falling apart. My relationships, my housing situation, my career, why is all this happening? Is this another dark night of the soul? And now I say, I can always see it. I say, no, it's not. You should be very happy. You have a lot to look forward to. You should be celebrating all the new stuff that you deserve finally being manifested in your life. But just everything in our life takes up space. And for something new and improved to come in, there needs to be like an energy exchange. There's a price. And the price is the old stuff, the old reflections of the old you that no longer vibrate with you in a harmonious way need to go. And that's what a lot of people might be experiencing right now, this sort of coming and going and reorganization of pretty much everything going on in your life. And of course, it's going to have different highlights depending on the person, but some of the main ones are going to be with your relationships, your career, and your living situation, even your health and sense of happiness. But regardless, this is all fantastic. This is all good news. This is all finally you getting the results that you've put the work in for. Number 2, relationship lessons and meeting someone new. There's a story I sometimes tell. It's not my story, but it's a perfect example of what is happening with a lot of people right now. I'm going to tell the story in first person because it flows better that way. I was walking on the beach one day, beautiful, bright, sunny day, just taking it all in. And I noticed right there along the water's edge, there's this crab fisherman, this old sort of guy. He really looked like he knew what he was doing. He had that aura of experience. He's got his big old net, and he'd walk in the water and he'd cast the net and he'd pull out a whole bunch of crabs. I was pretty impressed, but I walk over to him and I see he's taking all the crabs and putting them in the bucket. And I was just talking to him, you know, making small talk. There's no one else around. And I noticed as we were talking, one of the crabs in the bucket was climbing on top of the other crabs, almost ready to escape and achieve freedom and go back into the water and, you know, escape essentially. And I said, hey, sir, mister, one of your crabs is about to escape. And he sort of had this smirk of like, he said, just watch. I said, okay. And sure enough, right before the crab was about to escape, all the other crabs, they didn't like that very much, and they took their little tongs and pulled them back into the bucket. Moral of the story, we all have crabs in our life. And right now, a lot of you are getting ready to escape and achieve a higher level of freedom. And this is an unfortunate part of success on all levels, where as you start to change and no longer act as the person people prefer you to be in a sense, or are familiar with, some people, a lot of people will be happy for you and support you, but some other people will be triggered by you and try to pull you back down. And being a very sensitive, empathic person, more sensitive to the energy of your life experience than ever before, you're gonna start to feel just how heavy these crabs, these toxic people are in your life. And unfortunately, breaking away from them is not always a clean, smooth process, though sometimes it can be. But regardless, you have chosen a path of growth and expansion and acceleration, along with many others. But not everyone on the planet is taking that route, as you can see. And there's a divergence taking place. However, the more you can just stand firm in who you are and allow your true self, your authentic self to sort of make your choices, the more you will start to see even new people come into your life that are a much better reflection. And it's always a really difficult thing to talk about, because I know a lot of people are going through this. I've been going through it as well. I've gone through it many times, and it's a heavy situation that implies relationships ending. But it's something that happens, quite frankly. And I think it's something that needs to be talked about, especially right now. But here are some of the things I've learned for what it's worth. Number one, you can only avoid being who you really are for so long. Clinging to a relationship because of your memory of how things once were only leads to messiness. And a lot of times, what can seem like a relationship ending is only a relationship evolving and changing. And this full moon is so powerful. It's going to bring to the surface, bring to a head some of these unresolved relationship issues that have been sort of clinging on to your subconsciousness in both parties. And sometimes they can be moved through as a unit, as a team, resulting in deeper harmony, deeper peace, more love. And sometimes, again, not everyone is going to match your rate of growth, and that's okay too, but it might result in someone splintering off and going on their own path, which is okay. And you'll feel energetically it's very appropriate anyway. And if that's the case, what usually happens there is someone brand new comes in, not too long after, someone who's kind of like reminds you of the other person, but is an upgraded vibrational example of that. A new, more soulmate, like a friend, etc., a friend's lover even, will come into your life because you're just making room. You're getting out all this old energy, and it's going to create these changes in your life. And when it comes to relationships, it's just not easy. But just so you know, I've been through before, and it always results in something amazing, more appropriate boundaries being set, new amazing people coming in, you feeling safer, more happy, more love from all the people in your life. That's what's happening. You're expanding, and you can't help it. And it's going to affect others, but that's okay. That's your right. Number 3, going deeper with your art, with your self-expression, and with your purpose. For me, I've been going down the Doors rabbit hole. I have like probably 10, 12 books of them, Jim Morrison in particular, and one of them I haven't read, and for some reason I pulled it off the bookshelf because we just moved here and I saw it, and man, that band inspires me. And I'm not going to go off on a whole tangent of why I love the Doors, but it's my example to you of something inspiring me to really be more of a pure artist and completely detach from how other people are going to perceive who I am and what I express, for the sake of just being that bold, courageous artist doing what feels right. There's a depth I'm striving for, inspired by the Doors. Now, for a lot of you, it's going to have to do with your life purpose. As I mentioned, things are shifting around right now, and that's okay. And what a lot of you are going to find is you just crave more depth, more of an authentic, unfiltered sense of self-expression. And of course, a lot of us, that just happens to be relevant to our vocation, to our career. But this doesn't have to necessarily mean you got to go out there and start making YouTube videos or whatever like Victor does. Everyone's going to have their own unique way of doing this. For example, my mom, she's like 65 or so, 66 years old, and she's retiring this upcoming summer, next year. And, she's been working her whole life. She was a mom, and that was her purpose. And she hasn't had a lot of time to really see what matters to her. Well, now, as she's starting to see this retirement coming up, what she's going to be doing essentially is joining this organization that helps addicts. I was a drug addict, and I put my parents, unfortunately, through a lot of turmoil in my later teens. And so my mom has a very strong connection and passion to help families and addicts out there, especially like the young teenagers. So that's what she's going to do. This calling is welling up in my own mother to do this. And you might be feeling called or inspired or even obligated to fight for your cause, to take action in the direction of something that matters to you. Just for the sake of contributing, but also for the sake because part of you knows it's going to lead to a more satisfying life. Number 4, and this is going to sound a bit weird, but I wrote down, choosing your reality. Right now, people, mindsets, beliefs, energies, vibration, just the different qualities that make up these individual people on the planet right now are becoming more. You're going to start to be able to differentiate between the differences more easily. And what you'll find is some people, it's almost like we've been going through life with this sort of neutral mindset, we're all human beings, yada, yada. And now you're going to start to see some people, and their attitude, their energy, their beliefs, I can't be around. I don't resonate with at all. And other people, parallel to this, at the same proportion, you'll be really drawn to, really wow, this feels more like me, and this feels good and energizing to be involved in, to be around. And in a sense right now, it's the vibration of the whole planet is increasing, revealing and stripping away more of the walls of illusion from who we all actually are, where we all actually stand as a soul, as a source of vibrational frequency. And you're going to find yourself just, regardless, naturally gravitating towards people, groups, if you will, that really share your values and vibe, and moving away from ones that don't. Okay? And what I've learned is that there is no right or wrong here. There is no right or wrong. We are all eternal souls, all here for the same reason: growth. Growth. We come to the Earth School because it's a place, it's a school of hard knocks for the souls where we can grow very quickly. And there's so many different options in how we can go about growing. A lot of us, we chose to come here and be these sort of pioneer souls and go through the spiritual awakening and exhibit and embody this higher consciousness around a lot of people who don't see things the way we do. And there's the different trials and tribulations that are unique to that sort of path. Other people have come in here to live a more of an ordinary 3D life and just learn lessons in a more physical, harsher, 3D sort of way, I'll say. And even though it's like completely like, there's such a stark difference, and it's getting harder for these two folks to really stay connected, it's all okay. Because at the end of the day, we're all gonna die, return to the same place, and look back and say, oh, that was interesting. What did I learn? So it's not our job as light workers to change people or to save people. Our job is quite simply to be ourselves. And being ourselves is going to have different effects on different people depending on who they are. And in my opinion, what can really make this process easier is to hold no judgment as best you can, to be truly accepting of all perspectives, all belief systems, all choices, because it is everyone's God-given right to navigate their life the way that seems best for them. So anyways, my friends, regardless, it's a time where you can really start to experience more of like vibrations, attracting like vibrations, moving away from vibrations that are no longer in resonance. And what that's going to do is fill your world, fill your reality, fill your life with experiences, conversations, emotional states, etc., that feel real and truthful and authentic to you. And it's going to allow you to sort of splinter off into a reality that really is a reflection of who you are. Number 5, boom, The Big Leap. It's a book I read years ago. And basically, I'll just show you the picture here. You can see this, there's like 2 fish bowls. And this little fish is jumping into the bigger fish bowl from the former one. And that's what a lot of you are doing right now. And what kind of goldfish wouldn't want a bigger pond to swim in, right? However, most of us have been conditioned to feel that we deserve a certain size fishbowl, if you will. So even though we've done the work, we've gone through the changes, and we're ready for the big leap, many of you are like that fish, midair, in between. But we're ready, you're leaping. I'm leaping, we're all leaping, and that's okay. But even though it's better, it's a bigger bowl, it's more oxygen, more cool toys to swim around, whatever, it's like, oh my God, this feels so different, so uncomfortable, so foreign. And this is what this guy named Gay Hendricks, he talks about the upper limit problem. It's like, imagine a glass ceiling over your head that we keep bumping our head into. It's like we have this thermostat, this bandwidth of normal. And we've been changing so much, we are forcing ourselves outside of the bandwidth, out of what's normal, even though it's good, beneficial, positive. And it's so common to sabotage ourselves and to hit the glass ceiling and come back to where it's normal. And you might have been doing that. You might have been going back and forth a little bit here. But it's time to take the big leap, even though it implies going into the unknown and allowing in things that are positive and maybe initially make us feel uncomfortable. I'll give an example of kind of what I'm trying to say here, okay? My wife, maybe some of you know this now because you've come to our retreat, but she's an amazing singer, really, really, like truly talented, has a real beautiful voice. I'm not just saying that because she's my wife. But for the longest time, she never sang. In fact, I remember when I first came home one day, probably like a decade after knowing her, and I heard her sing, I was mad. I said, honey, why have you not been singing? It's ludicrous. What have you been doing? You've been holding out on me, holding out on the kids. You need to start singing. What the heck's going on? And then, fast forward a few years later, she's on this new path. She's becoming like a medicine person, working with the plants and the shamans and all that kind of stuff. And she's in these circumstances where it's like she's feeling called to sing again. This happened a couple years ago. And she said it was so hard for her to sing. Not because she was afraid of not being good, but because she was afraid of outshining other people. Because when she was a little kid, that's exactly what happened. She was at this concert for school, and her and her sister both performed. And her sister's also a phenomenal singer. Their whole family is. And anyway, after the concert, everybody's attention was on Patty. Patty, you were so good. You were so amazing. Wow. And her sister had sang that night as well. And Patty just couldn't help but notice the look on her sister's face of, you could just imagine, just like, of hurt and disappointment and like, why not me? And in that moment, Patty decided that singing hurts people. If I'm going to sing my song, I will feel guilty about it. So I'm going to find clever ways to avoid singing, you see. And a lot of us have been doing that. A lot of our lives, it's like the goodness, the rewards, the love, all the cool stuff. It's like getting to a point where it's just like almost like forcing itself into our life. And we're being forced to deal with our own upper limit problem. And you might even be having insights as to why. Why have you been pushing away the love and success and abundance most of your life? It's ready to come in, but you have to allow it in. And in allowing it in, it's uncomfortable a little bit. The more you can breathe through it, the more you can just keep it simple. Come back into yourself. The more you will become comfortable. The more this new goodness will be it'll become your new normal, just like Patty. She sings constantly now. All throughout the day, she's got this singing bowl set and a drum, and I would swear she probably puts in a couple hours a day at different locations in the house, singing and drumming, and there's so much joy. There's such a power that comes through her when she does it. And a lot of you are open to that deeper level of power and happiness and success. And all you got to do is allow it to be. Allow the changes to unfold in your life. Remembering you can always trust. You can always choose to trust the benevolent nature of your own divine unfoldment. That's what's happening. There's a divine orchestration taking place in your life. Now let it in. Let in the love. Let in the abundance. Let in the success. Let in the health. Let in the happiness. You've earned it. You are it. You deserve it. It's time.